Well, by the time I did a FNaF timeline video, because it's been a while. Oh, and I've even wrote out a script this time. So I should also take a note how I'm gonna handle the books when it comes to this thing. The books are, I'll take more like urban legends. Part fiction, part truth to them, though. Which is not what they kind of are. But, alright. Let's get into this. It's starting with the potential origins of the business. 1970s, 1979, to be more specific. Beginnings of the company. Well, where Henry and William Afton begin their partnership, supposedly. Again, more info will come out when Secrets of the Mimic releases. So for now, I'll go to 1983. Fazbear Entertainment officially forms with Fredbear's Family Diner and Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. Now, at some point, Dave, which go check out Hyperjord's video. He makes a compelling argument for the clone child's name being David. But basically, he proposes that his name's Dave. Well, anyway, point is, he gets bitten. The bite of 83. And dies dying to the bullying hands of his brother. Now, I'm going to be honest. I initially thought that that the following basically took place before 1983, but now I've figured it over, plus the name convention, I am going to flip my initial thought to being late after the incident instead of before. Anyway. So the incident, along with William's general jealousy of Emily's success, leads to him basically going out in a drunken rage to kill Charlotte. And hopefully succeeds, and oh boy, the things get spooky scary. He discovers Remnant. He discovers Remnant, or the begins his research into it. Comes back home, his son's missing, and he's gone off to that place again. What place? We don't know. Maybe the grave of his dead brother. Who knows, honestly, because I don't. Anyway, that's the Midnight Murderers. The fear experiments begin here, mostly to keep Michael in check. As I said, I originally had an opposite proposal, but I'm flipping it. I don't need to repeat that. Alright. Anyway. So, as his experiments continue, he builds robots to collect Remnant for him. The fun times. January 7, 1985. This is a possible date for Elizabeth's death. But the numbers could be scrambled, like the Unlivered Truth mentions. I doubt it. Another thought that he brings up that I do agree with is the idea that the Springlock suit that Mike is stuffed in is the one from the Springlock failure incident, which kind of makes sense. It mostly keeps narrative consistency, so that makes a bit of sense. Alright, the location opens, Elizabeth dies, location closes. If you know the general of the story beats of the series, you know where this goes. Anyway, after the incident, William decides, you know what, I'll just do it myself. Hence, the incident involving the binary. The missing children incident. That's what I meant to say. Collect Remnant, experiment with the dead. However, nothing initially happens. So he seeks to replicate the incident. Anyway, he goes off to the location closes. This is him technically not being a member of Fazbear Entertainment, but rather Fredbear's Family Diner, ends up getting a job at the new location, the 1987 location. The only trucks are begin to get retrofitted. That plan just fails, and well, to make a long story short, what was I saying? Basically, he tries it again. However, between the initial incident and this one, the spirits of the MCI come to possess the animatronics, thanks to a bit of help from the puppet. This by the time they wake, whoever Freddy and the puppet, when they figure out William's done it again, they go out to try to stop him, since it's the middle of the night. Now, why are these bodies thrown about in the middle of the night? Like when his previous MO was doing it in the day? Lauren gets it back anyway. I think this is a case, actually, a fan game might provide the answer. Like Lakeside Story, something like that. Point is, in that game, basically the serial killer of the game asks the children to come back after closing hours. That's potentially what happened here. William had yet to hide the bodies by the time the other two animatronics come out, and he realizes, holy cow, they were possessed. He quickly stuffs the bodies into the toys, and he goes ahead and just moves on. Eventually, Jeremy gets the shift after he reports the mystery activity, while he gets the day shift. Several nights pass as the animatronics slowly get more and more aggressive. He eventually hightails it out, all sorts of issues. Anyway, look, Bite of 87, which puts the fun times outcome. I said that because technically Toy Foxy is a version of Funtime Foxy, the mangle, I mean. Anyway, puts the toys out of commission, and as a precaution, the animatronics aren't allowed to move in the day anymore. It was a bit of an experiment for the location, did not work because of this incident. Anyway, toys get scrapped, the animatronics are removed, and events of the week before and FNaF 1 happen. William then goes and collects their parts for Remnant, and then has to deal with puts them into basically the fun times, then comes back for some final items, and ends up getting ambushed by some angry spirits, which I can only assume at this point they're clinging to whatever metallic stuff is inside of the costume suit itself. Anyway, they kill him. The events of Sister Location happened. The events of FNaF 3 happened in 2017, roughly. Sometime after that, February the 23rd, potentially, of who knows when, if the 223 isn't the year 2023, but rather the month and day. FNaF 6, the UCN, which I don't know if there's been a retcon between the Click Team era and the Steel Wool era. Like I said, don't know if there's a retcon or anything. Wait for details. Anyway. Now, David throughout the games doesn't do much except seemingly haunt locations, and is heavily associated with Golden Freddy, along with the Spirit Within, Cassidy. However, his memories seem to be the basis for putting everything everyone's memories back together so that they can move on. Except for one spirit, vengeful. I can't make assumptions anymore because, yeah, like I said, the books are, I take more as urban legends. Means there's a vengeful spirit character, I'm gonna wait on that. Anyway, parts of William end up getting used once Fazbear Entertainment is rebuilt to basically scan in and program the game. Likely the Mimic at this point have been partially dredged up, well, parts of its code, and was used to analyze the code, hence forming the passing movement by imitating how the animatronics were behaving during the night. As for. Anyway, when it scanned in some of the parts from Scrap Trap, it ended up gaining a few of his memories and forming into Glitch Trap. This entity, well, at this point, I don't think I need to go more in depth, as this is mostly centered around the Click Team era, not the Steel Wool era. But, hey, that's that. Have a great day, everyone. See ya. Bye.